Home buyer secrets for the Inland Empire. Like, what do you need to know? Why Inland Empire? What's going on right now in mortgages? And I think right now is a very interesting time. And I think it's a really good time if you're looking to buy a house as your first house or just kind of moving to a different area, but you're someone who thinks more long term and you really feel like, hey, I want to build a portfolio and I want to have something I can leave to my family. I want to build wealth with real estate. Now is a great time because we're starting to see economic news where rates are starting to trickle down, but there's a lot of consumer sentiment that tells us that people are ready to buy, but they're waiting for something positive to happen, and a lot of them are waiting. So right now we're getting a lot in Inland Empire in the greater Los Angeles area. This is actually very true as well. They're getting a significant amount of mortgage applications, but the number of closed transactions is very small, which tells, a lot of the economists and a lot of the financial forecasters that, hey, there's a lot of people who are interested in buying homes, but they're waiting, which means now's a great time because you can always refinance later and you don't compete when you're refinancing. And in fact, when a market is really hot, it's kind of the best time to refinance because your value shoots up, and it usually makes it so that you can remove mortgage insurance if you have mortgage insurance, and or when you have a greater loan to value or a smaller loan to value ratio, more like 20% equity, 30% equity, 40% equity, you actually get a much better interest rate, which is a huge add-on. The other big thing right now is we're finding a lot of lenders and a lot of the government agencies are getting very creative when it comes to making things more affordable for buyers. So first-time home buyers actually get a lot of leniency on certain things. So when people think, hey, I don't know if my credit is that great, I don't know if my income is that great, I don't know if my debt to income ratio, so maybe I have a lot of debt, but I think I could afford to buy, but I don't want it to throw off my qualification. For a lot of first-time home buyers, they're really waiving what normally would have been a strict criteria and made it so you had a much worse interest rate. They're actually making it so that you get a much better interest rate, which I find very interesting, and I think that's a huge benefit for you. But also the new thing right now, and this is something I've seen a lot in the kind of greater Los Angeles, Inland Empire, up in the mountains, is that we now can use Vantage Score. So it used to be that we could only use a FICO score with the 3 credit bureaus in order to qualify you. When you're the only player for the last 20, 40, I think it's like 40 or 50 years, you don't really care about improving people's credit. And a lot of times what was happening to me was a lot of my clients were seeing on their mobile app, hey, this is your credit score. But when they went to have their credit pulled, it was totally different. Now that credit score is pretty accurate, if not better. So recently I actually had it where someone's credit score was 572 with FICO. And when I ran it, it was actually with Vantage, it was 634 or something like that. I mean, a huge difference, but that made it so that they could only qualify FHA. Now they qualified for conventional as well. The other big benefit is they got a much better interest rate with FHA because they had a much better credit score. Or sorry, they still couldn't go FHA, but it was likely that their credit score was going to go up to that at some point with FICO. So there's some huge benefits. We also just announced today, which I'm pretty excited, is we can do doctor loans. So for a lot of our doctors, physicians, I think even physicians' assistants, they're a lot more lenient on when you started working as a doctor or physician. You could do up to 100% financing, so no money down with no mortgage insurance. So for a lot of doctors out there, this has been something I've had people ask about, and I've only had like the D-rate mortgage companies offering it. And it was tough because I had to tell them, I don't think I'd go with this company. And there's a lot of reasons why. It would benefit you so much more to go with a better company and come out of pocket a little bit extra, maybe have a little mortgage insurance. Now you get access to the best lender, and the loan amounts, the minimum or the maximum is $2 million. So you still get major benefits in that regard. But today I really wanted to talk about Inland Empire specifically and a lot of the values of it. And I have my guest speaker, Lisa, joining today. And Lisa, remind me, who are you with again?
So I'm with EXP Real Estate and also with Homebase Real Estate a team.
Home-based real estate team. Nice. And
Yes,
are you from Inland Empire?
I am. I wasn't
Oh,
born here. Actually, I was born in Los Angeles, but for the most part, grew up in Inland Empire.
okay. I love it. Well, I wanted to bring Lisa on because you've also worked in property management as well. You don't have to keep muting yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
for the last 10 years.
last 10 years. So
Yeah,
actually, this is not the first time I've worked with someone who was formerly a property manager.
sure.
Um, you have a lot more attention to detail. As a property manager, you have to do a lot more hustling, in my opinion, a lot more fair housing and regulation
Oh, yeah,
requirements you have to stay up to date on. Um,
absolutely.
but also finding people the right solution is a lot of what the job is. So I think that's awesome. I think you're going to be a huge benefit to Inland Empire. But I did have some questions for Lisa. My first question is, can you just tell me a little bit more about the area you work in? Kind of, what are the different neighborhoods? Maybe who are the big employers? Convenient factors like restaurants, things like that. Because I don't know a ton about Inland Empire, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in LA that may not.
Sure. Yeah. So I work in the Inland Empire, mainly in like Redland, San Bernardino, Moreno Valley, Riverside area, Beaumont, and all those surrounding communities. So it's basically every little town has their own kind of personality, I would say. So, for example, I live right here in Redland slash Loma Linda. Loma Linda is known for their university.
My dad went
Here.
to school there.
Oh, really? Yes,
Yeah.
it's an amazing university, amazing healthcare. They have the Children's Hospital here, so you'll definitely get the best care there, I would say. And then we have University of Redlands here. There are tons of right here in Redlands. There's ton of shopping, ton of restaurants. Redlands is known for like its historic. Landmark. So a lot of historic mansions, lots of just rich history here. And then even in Riverside, they have like a historic downtown area, historic neighborhoods. And then we've got Beaumont and Menifee. So those are pretty much up and coming neighborhoods. They're known for newer homes, larger spaces, lots of square footage. So yeah, just different personalities, and it doesn't hurt either that we're literally 1 hour from the beach, 1 hour to the mountains,
Oh, I didn't know
an
that.
hour. Yeah, like we're centrally located and like next to all the things that you want to do, but kind of away from like the hustle and bustle of maybe LA, where it's much more busy and congested.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why we set up this call too, was kind of, a lot of people just don't know there are other options out there other than LA. So thank you. And then I was going to ask too, that kind of leads to perfectly to our second question is,
Yeah.
what are the different price ranges of housing that you've seen versus LA?
So at every house, every price is a little bit different depending on the home and the neighborhood. But for the most part, you are gonna find you'll get basically more house for your money than you would in Los Angeles. So you could find maybe the same price condo, a small little condo in Los Angeles, and it'd be the same price out here in the Inland Empire, but it's huge. You'll get like a large home, lots of square footage, land, and it's not so congested with a lot of traffic and kind of like suburban neighborhoods. So, price range, it varies, but like I said, a lot of people do like to relocate here because you get more house for your money.
I love that. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that may, if this is you kind of a thing, they say, hey, I don't need to walk to the beach anymore. I don't go that often. I don't need to go to every single restaurant. If I can find that in a town where I get more living space, that's a huge benefit. So I love
Yeah,
that about Inland Empire.
absolutely. And then I would say for just like what you just said, if you don't want to go to the beach or something, like I said earlier, it literally is like an hour drive. Like, it's not so bad. You
In
can
the
still
mountains
enjoy
there, you
those
can go
things.
skiing too, right?
I think in Big Bear, I haven't been to
Yeah.
Big Bear. You would think I would have been, but I haven't. There's a lot of things that I haven't done yet. So I haven't been there, but I have been to Crestline. I love to go over there with my dog, and he likes to swim in the lake and stuff.
Oh, that's
And it's
awesome.
just so peaceful. Like, if I want to get away from, it's not busy here in my city, but sometimes I want the nature and the peace. I, drive up there and have a little hike, and the dog swims, and yeah.
I love that. And
Mhm.
I'm in the greater Sacramento area, but it's
Oh.
2 to 3 hours to get into the mountains.
Oh
So
my gosh. See,
yeah, yeah, 1 hour. I mean, that's
it's not
that
bad.
that's convenient to me. Yeah. And I was going to ask too, how competitive is the area? Are buyers able to get any deals? Are there, are sellers covering closing costs, or are there just tons of offers on houses?
So, I wouldn't say that there's like not like the pandemic market where there's like 30 offers on one home. It's nothing like that now. I mean, there is multiple offers on some homes, but I think I would say it's pretty balanced. Like buyers are still able to kind of negotiate repairs, closing costs, credits. All that good stuff. And then on the seller's behalf, you're still getting some multiple offers on the house, especially if it's being marketed correctly and it's, a good deal.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's funny because I was talking to someone recently and they were saying, "Oh, I just want to wait till prices drop." And I always ask the question, like, why? And
Yeah.
they're surprised. Well, because I want to get a better price. Well, at what point would you know that it's dropping, like it's going to be done dropping? So let's say you're buying in a market because
Hmm.
prices are dropping. At what point do you say, like, how would you know, okay, they're not going to drop anymore? Because otherwise you're going to buy a house just to immediately be underwater.
Yeah.
I always think, I said, wouldn't you want to buy in a market that's always growing and doing well? If
Hmm.
the rest of the nation prices are dropping in Inland Empire, it's not crazy. So you're losing out all the time and overbidding for houses, but at least it's still growing. To me, that seems like a really good investment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and then to my next question, what are some of the best ways a buyer can prepare to be competitive in the area?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say to first make sure that you get pre-approved. That way, yeah, absolutely, because that way it shows that you're serious, that you do want to, make an offer on this home and you've got your pre-approval. You want to make sure your whole financial picture, you understand your financial picture. Make sure you're not making large purchases before closing or even during the whole process. I would even say maybe a month or two before you're considering. You don't want to have, major credit pulls on your report, and just kind of making sure the difference between your must-haves and your nice-to-haves. You have to kind of
Yeah.
be serious about that in case you have to make a quick decision. You'll be able to be like, okay, well, I can live without that, but what do I really need, to make this house my home, basically.
Yeah. And to defend Lisa here, because I've been there where I'm working with an agent and their client. I'm just thinking, how come we're not submitting offers on houses? And the agent finally tells me just that what they need. We can't seem to find it, and we can't seem to find the right house. And even I'll have to get on the call and have a heart to heart and coming to Jesus moment with some clients. Look, so I'm glad you said it, Lisa, because that's
Yeah.
great advice to be giving people. And I think a lot of agents don't, is that sometimes you need to have a must-haves and a this would be nice to have. And if you're not
Hmm.
able to have your nice to haves, but you can have all your must-haves, and that's kind of where you're limited,
Hmm.
then go with it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to really increase your budget or just wait. Like, buy
True.
now and wait. I think a lot of times I'm finding people's first houses right now are
Yeah.
they want to make that their dream house.
Nope. Got to be
Nope.
your starter house.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in my career, maybe one or two people have ever bought their first house was kind of like a dream house. I mean, it was super nice, but I've had someone where their second house was 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. It was their second house,
Yeah.
and this beautiful swimming pool with rock feature. I mean, it was amazing. But that was their
Wow.
second house. Most people, it's like the third or fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and then the next question is, you know, when a new client reaches out to you, what's kind of the ideal process, in how they reach out to you in the process from start to finish? Do they meet with you? What does that look like working with you from start to whenever?
Yeah. So my approach is like I want to make everybody or my clients feel as comfortable and just not stressed through the process. I want to, let them know the steps every step of the way and not be nervous. It is nerve wracking, especially if it's your first home. It is nerve wracking, but I want to take that stress off of them. So typically I like to have a conversation either by phone, over coffee, or virtual. And I kind of get to know them, learn about their goals. What is it that they want? We can even pick their brains. Just what is your dream home? And like I said, going back to your must-haves and versus your nice-to-haves. But it's nice to just put it out there. Have some goals. Then once I get to know them, I will connect them with a lender. And if they don't already have one, but we want to get them pre-approved. That way I know what to look for, what to stay within that budget. So we're not getting someone's hopes up. If it's the price is too high, we don't want to show them homes that is out of their price range. So then I'll make a personalized home list for them, go showing them. And then from there, I just keep them updated every step of the way, make sure I'm available for any questions, day or night. I'm here making sure, I make myself available to them. So just strong communication. And then, we go from there.
I like that. It's tough whenever I hear an agent say, "No, I stopped working after 5." I'm like, well, then you should get a
Oh
different job.
no.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear it a lot too, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, especially if they're first home buyers, they want to make sure like they're able to speak to somebody about the process and that they're in good hands, that they feel comfortable during, the process.
yeah. And I like working with agents like you and kind of establishing that relationship, because I don't like hearing people say, "Oh, real estate agents or loan officers are like car salesmen." From my experience, when Lisa and I know each other and then we meet a client and we establish a relationship, we become an advisor, and we're there. Sometimes we take on your needs and desires a little too much, and maybe we'll over negotiate.
Mhm.
But we always want to take that on because we want to be your advisor, not trying to sell you on one house. Like a lot of times with
Exactly.
people, when we first talk and you first complete an application, I will not pull your credit. One, because I have to pay for it out of pocket, but also I'd rather go over options with you to make
Sure.
sure you feel comfortable and confident. And then once we've gone over options, then maybe we may have to, or we may wait, or whatever reason. But I like when people meet with the agent first versus, I found my dream home. Now let's start the process with my agent, with the lender, because it's pure chaos at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's another point, if they're meeting with the agent first, a part of what I feel, the job is to educate them, on the
Right.
process and educate them on realities as well, pull their credit report and let them know like, hey, let's work on this first before we proceed any further. So that way they're building, a healthy habits. Being a property manager, I see people do, have these bad habits every day. And they don't realize that, it's going to affect them in the future. One of these days, you're going to want to get serious about things, and you're going to have these issues on your credit report, these bad habits of how you're paying your bills and your priorities. So a lot of people just need that education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes little tweaks in people's credit, not that everyone has to have amazing credit, but sometimes little tweaks save thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
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 And it's pretty easy to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you could either phone me, email me, or you can reach me on Instagram. I know a lot of people they don't like talking on the phone. So I'm always available via text, email, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining. Yeah, I think it's great. I was surprised you said you meet people for coffee. Your teeth seem way too white to drink coffee.
Well, I don't drink it every day, but every once in a while, because I'm pretty hyper. So as it is, so I try not to drink too much coffee.
Maybe that's I had to switch away from coffee because my teeth get stained. Well, yeah, thank you for joining. And yeah, like I said, if anyone's watching the recording of this, and you want to set up a time to talk with Lisa, you can always reach out through our website or wherever you're seeing this. But I think Inland Empire, actually, there's one other thing I wanted to add too and ask, sorry to throw the loop in.
Yeah, go for it.
But there's something when you and I first talked about Inland Empire that you mentioned, I meant to add it to my list of questions.
Oh, yeah.
That you've noticed prices and rentals have been going up. I think you said in the town even farther away from LA. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. I remember that conversation. So I was telling you in Victorville. So
Okay.
that's in the high desert. So if you guys I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but most people know what Victorville is, because a lot of people from Los Angeles will go bypass the whole. Well, Victorville is kind of like Inland Empire, but it's way more out. So some people will bypass the whole Inland Empire and go straight to Victorville, because there was a point in time where everything was very, very affordable. For example, my husband and I, we had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment complex. And that one we rented out for $900 a month. That same apartment is about $2,300. And that's for up there. There's really not much up there. So what we're seeing is that since there's a lot of people moving from even Inland Empire, Los Angeles up there, pricing has gone up. It has skyrocketed because there's just so many people there. So of course, supply, demand, so yeah, so it's the homes used to be, even new homes, like back in 2015, they had like a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, about 250,000. You cannot find that anymore. I'm pretty sure same size home is about maybe in the 500,000s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
crazy.
And the reason I wanted to ask that is I think if you're some people, if they're thinking, hey, is Inland Empire a good investment? Is it worth the commute? To me, if I was looking at buying a house because I want to build equity and I want to build wealth, I want to know I'm buying in a good market that's growing. And the commute would be worth it at that point, because if you're seeing places if you have to call it in the high desert,
yeah,
if you've seen prices go up there,
yeah,
Inland Empire is definitely, going to be, the values are going to go up. And it's nice that to hear that Inland Empire hasn't surpassed even at that. I would think Inland Empire would be above LA, but it seems like it's in a nice sweet spot.
Yes, I agree. And that was one of the decisions that, my family and I made when we were living in Victorville, is to just come back down to Inland Empire, because it took away a lot of that commute. It's a long drive, like an hour drive to get get down to civilization, as we call it down here. But so for us, it was worth to pay a little bit more just to be more centrally located, away from everything, like like I said, beaches, mountains, LA, even back to Victorville is another hour away. So I mean, I would say Inland Empire is the way to go. I love it here. And
I love it.
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to work with an agent who loves the area they live in? So,
Yes, absolutely.
well, thank you, Lisa. And if
Mhm.
anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to help.